Okay, let's give this a second shot here now. I forgot to plug back in the mics. Totally my fault. Okay, let's start the timer and okay, are you ready?
All good.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening. Welcome to episode 3 of the Thursday Comics Podcast. I am your co-host, Dennis, accompanied by, like always, Mr. Wallace Ryan.
Hey, how's it going there, Dennis?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Oh, I just got a strange feeling of deja vu.
Because we basically did all this. This is the second take.
Yeah, that was totally my fault, of course.
So, today's main topic, which kind of came out of the blue, there's a lot of people doing like the best of decades and everything like this, and our best books, and with the sister shows, the Library of Graphic Literature, we're doing our best of 2019 and our best of the decade. So we thought with this one we'd change it up a little bit and not be so specific. We figured we'd just talk about our favorite things about collecting comics
In general.
For this decade. Stuff that came up and different changes and where we've grown, where the comic industry has grown, where it's kind of taken steps back, things that we don't like that has happened, and there's a good few of those too. So if we could just have a general talk and discussion.
Okay, well let's dive right into it, and you start us off there, Chief.
So probably the best part, we'd say, would be the rise of our favorite format, which is the omnibus.
Yay! So, think of Kermit when...
Right.
Okay, yes, so, and I agree totally with you.
Yeah, so they did start before. They were probably out around 2004, 2005 or so, but they were very limited versions.
Yeah.
You get volume 1 of just about everything, all the Silver Age stuff.
Yeah.
You weren't getting a lot of modern, you weren't getting a lot of 70s, 80s key stuff.
No way. Well, even the Masterworks, too, were very limited at the time, right?
So, with that explosion, we were chatting earlier, in the 2010s, I managed to get a near-complete run of Uncanny X-Men in oversized hardcover and omnibus.
Yeah.
You're getting a bunch of Daredevil, and you're getting eras of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
My favorite era of Spider-Man is for Roger Stern.
Okay, yes. We talked about that earlier. I missed out on that.
And that's probably one of my favorite omnibus. It contains so many solid stories.
Yeah. With me, it was like the Fantastic Four, just the fact that, and still waiting now on volume 4, but being able to get all that Kirby goodness in a single set of books like that, it's magnificent, right?
I mean, we were talking earlier, my favorite one was, my first one, was the Eternals.
Yes.
This was before the 2010s, but that's what got me started into collecting them. Yeah. And then I went into Silver Surfer, and...
Which I still, of course, am very envious of. Because I don't know why I passed on that. Now, I know... Because I don't even know if I had it in Masterworks at the time. Right. But I should have went for it. But, as you say, it's coming back again.
And who would have thought, like, they released an omnibus of Alpha Flight.
Yeah.
And I love Alpha Flight. I have the complete series. I have, like, the paperbacks and all the relaunches. But there's a complete run of Byrne's Alpha Flight.
Yeah.
That is how deep Marvel is going with collecting for almost a very niche market, and they don't seem to care.
No, it was, I mean, even, when I had my comic book store and I sold off my childhood collection, I got into the DC archives and the Marvel Masterworks, I had a vision, maybe someday they'll be printing a lot of the comics that I did have as a kid, dream, what I thought was pie in the sky stuff, but has since come true with, like you say, with stuff like that, the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, for instance.
Right.
And those
Never thought.
Yeah. It was, and now it's just like I expect it to be.
Right.
Right? It's just like all these, it's like, where's the Marvel premiere omnibus, right?
The Conan run through Marvel.
Yes.
That was on a must-have list for years. You could get like the Chronicle paperbacks and stuff. But a lot of people wanted library versions, something that are nice bound covers you could store and you can keep forever.
Me included, right? That's the only reason I didn't buy the Dark Horse ones. It's just like, come on, slap some fucking hardcovers onto the babies and get them out to us, right?
So, now, like any other forms of media, when a new format comes out, something drops.
Yeah,
so when
something
CDs
dies.
came out,
Yeah.
cassettes died.
Yeah.
When cassettes came out, 8-tracks end up dying out. It's just there's a format. So when Omnibus and Absolute started coming out, Marvel Masterworks started to die off, and DC Archives got cancelled.
Yeah. Now, at least with the Archives, they kept the silver, the modern age ones. They killed off the Golden Age and Atlas ones. But I'll give Marvel that much. At least they kept on with the Masterworks, and they're digging into the 70s and stuff like that now. But yeah, DC just abandoned the Archives whole hog, which drove me crazy because I had a near complete collection of the damn things, right?
And it goes to show, like, it is a form of media.
Oh yeah.
And it died out in it went from single issues to paperbacks to standard edition hardcovers to oversized hardcovers, and they're getting more expensive, but they're getting better quality.
Well, Absolutes. Oh, I want to go over there and start licking them. I love them so much, right?
And I only have a few Absolutes, but it's a format I don't want to get started into.
No, it's. I only, and I rarely get them anymore unless it's something, an Alan Moore or a Kirby, for instance. That's why I'm getting the Absolute Fourth World, just because I want to see Kirby's work bigger.
Kirby's artwork bigger. So. Yeah. But that's one negative.
Yeah.
So now, we'll say another big positive for the decade would be where we're talking about publishing. We'll talk about self-published books and independent titles that have started to rise.
Yeah.
You start to see a huge rise in Image again.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're giving full rights to creators like they always did.
Yeah. And that's the secret formula.
It is, yeah.
Right?
Now, not everything sticks.
No.
But if you give them free reign, creators will put out gold.
Yeah, yeah. Because, Saga, not a lot, but there are, like I say, there's even a lot of the smaller ones, too, were really good series and stuff like that. Of course, Criminal and all those.
Yes, and they were originally with Icon.
Yeah.
And which was
Marvel.
That
was the Marvel, yeah.
And formerly like Epic Comics and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And they transferred over to Image, and Image was glad to take them.
Exactly, yeah.
And they're all different themes. You can look for crime noir. You can look for space operas. You can look for sex and violence. They publish everything.
Yeah. Well, even Outcast and some of the other ones. I know a lot of people. I actually kind of liked Outcast, but then other publishers too, like Mind Management with Dark Horse. Dark Horse produced like a lot of good stuff this decade. Harrow County, Black Hammer, let alone their Conan omnibuses and that.
Yeah,
they were beautiful, weren't they? And that's another thing too. I guess the big two did push others into the omnibus format because they were really big on it first.
The Goon series.
Yes.
They put them in their library editions.
Yeah.
A little bit bigger than an omnibus, but a great collection.
Yeah, exactly. I love that too, right? The omnibus format is, and it's funny, the Eternals, you mentioned that. I was lucky, I got that for like $25 at New York Comic Con, but I came upon it and it was, of course, I had to buy it right away, right? But that's the other good thing too, is a lot more of the obscure stuff now starting to come out, like the Marvel Horror, and then the Ditko, and despite the fact that they canceled the Atlas, we got at least the monster buses with the Kirby stuff in it, and one so far, and going to be another one of the Ditko, the Master of Suspense stuff and all that.
And you're getting the timely omnibus. You got 3 of them out.
Yeah.
The pre-war, then you're going to get the post-war. A couple of those have been solicited.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see them basically start to, because the Journey and the Mystery and all those, they could harvest those for like a complete, a best of almost, a complete run, because where there's no continuing stories, a best of the Gene Cole, the people who did go on.
Yeah.
Or even just the really good stuff from those, anything from Joe Manley, just all these people who, didn't make it into the Silver Age, but great stuff, right?
We can also talk about the rise of Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah.
And creator-owned, self-published, which is a very rare thing nowadays.
Yeah, well, you're the one who got me into the Kickstarters, too, with everything from, especially like the Mind Management, that record set, the the low print run comic they had and all that. But then then into full on books, which I was used to just buying at my local comic book store. But you're the one who introduced me into stuff like like I say, the Mind Management record set, or the Dreadstar, for instance.
Dreadstar,
which is fabulous.
Yeah.
And like you were saying earlier about in terms of these are great creator-owned properties that. Now I'm kind of surprised that no one else jumped on Dreadstar, but you feel almost good because you're paying directly to the artist,
to the creator.
Yeah.
They get the book. You are the reason that book was published, and it's a labor of love from the creator.
Yeah.
And it's going directly to you. You just got to give them the money in advance.
Yeah.
And they'll toss you in bookmarks and stickers and a couple of prints.
Which are always cool, right?
They're always little fun little add-ons.
Yeah.
For a book you would, if it was on the shelf, you would buy anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And well, another one was in terms of online ones that I discovered was Scurry, and you picked those up for me online, and not available, in any stores at all. But one of the great comics out there, I think, from the 2010s. It's vastly underrated. Now you can read the whole thing on his site. He posts the entire issues there. But I got so much into it as I was reading. It's just like, oh damn, I'm gonna buy the goddamn fucking comics, right? Shag this,
just
right?
as well.
And but then of course started to get into more like even in the past year there's some that for instance I'm still waiting on. There was we were talking about this earlier.
There's a Liberty Brigade.
The Liberty Brigade. That's who was that again? Now it's
that was it's a bunch of classic Golden Age characters that modern artists, I think one of the main ones, Barry Kitson.
Yeah.
He's doing the restorations on it.
Yeah.
And then there's the Private War Captain Schultz.
Yes.
I think, and that's delayed. It's heavily delayed now.
Yeah.
But they are taking their time and they're restoring it properly.
Which you don't mind.
You don't mind. It's not, if it's done right, you don't mind.
Yeah.
So, which is another nice thing to say. And Kickstarter, same thing with board games or any other hobby. But to know that it's going directly, I don't like when a big company, let's say like Hasbro, they do crowdfunding for figures.
Yeah.
And big play sets.
Yeah.
But you're a $1 billion company.
Yeah. What the heck are you doing get the fuck out of here, right?
Jim Starlin wants to get the complete collection of Dreadstar out. You know it's going to Jim Starlin.
Yeah.
And there's no issues with that.
So. Oh, Dave Sim, if you're out there, come on, get your act together. But yeah, exactly. You don't. It was like another one, the Strangers in Paradise.
Yep.
I've been salivating over that set of omnibuses for. Geez, I can't even remember when it was put out a long time ago, but it was, and even again, low print run, but it was just like, it makes it even more attractive then too. It's just like, okay, because as you know, I hemmed and hawed and finally pulled the trigger on it and said, okay, get that. But then there's what was that other one, Hodge, the other Kickstarter that.
One was not successful.
Hitch, is it, or is that one?
I don't know.
But most of them have been successful though.
Funded,
And of course today you brought over the Mutant World, Son of Mutant World, which from Jan Strand and Rich Corbin, and it was fabulous because when that originally came out, I was even saying to you that reproduction values suck shit.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, guys, but and they more or less even admit it. And this is an absolutely beautiful representing of a classic series.
Yeah.
And done right. And of course having them involved on it, to me that's what keeps it pure. It's so I don't care if it's being recolored. It's being recolored by the original crew under his supervision at least. And so why not, right? So, sounds good to me, right?
We can talk about the rise of whether it's good or bad. One was going to lead into the other. We do the good first. The rise of social media.
Yes. Yeah.
Facebook, YouTube, You can talk about Instagram, Twitter,
even podcasts.
Even podcasting.
Podcasting has really taken off in the past 10 years. I mean, it was around.
Right.
But it's, including us, of course, one of the greatest podcasts in the world. I mean, it's really fucking exploded. Went wild because it's like, as I explained to someone, and he did, my sister, about what a podcast was. I said, this is essentially a radio show.
It is.
And I said, that's the only difference. Same format, same ideas, same concept. Is you're talking back and forth about subjects that you love or you're an expert in or whatever, and it's great fun.
And it gives everyone an opinion.
Yeah,
good or bad, it gives everyone an opinion.
Well, and therein comes the bad one, because I mean, there's a lot of stuff, of course, out there, and I've listened to some and all that, and it's just like, oh, for God's sake, it's just like, okay, you're the type of person where you shouldn't have a podcast, and there are some out there. It's just like, oh God, it's because it's people say, oh well, everyone has an opinion and it's valid. It's just like no. It's as Harlan Ellison said. There's a difference between no one's entitled to their opinion. You're entitled to your informed opinion.
Yeah. And
otherwise, you're spouting garbage, because if you can back up what you're spouting out, then it really is worthless. I'd like to see a little bit more, and which we do here, a little bit more critical thinking on topics. Me and you, we've never been one just to shoot from the hip and, oh, I don't know, I hate this series, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, well, I like this series because of blah, blah, or I hate this fucking series because it sucks.
Because it sucks.
But we don't make a big case out of it, and we don't harp on and on about one single artist or one whatever. We're going for the full bigger picture.
I like say we go for Facebook. Every comic shop and every business has a Facebook page. I like the online community aspect.
Yes. Yeah. Ourselves.
Yeah. I have an Instagram account. I just post photos of my new books and comment on them briefly.
Yeah.
Right. Just do it. Just out of a little hobby.
Yeah.
I don't have 1,000. 10,000 followers or anything like this, but I just do it because.
Exactly, right?
But there's a small group that I follow, and that follow me back, and you'll have little chats with them. They could be from England or in Canada, and they'll just ask for your opinions, or you'll ask for theirs, and no one's really negative.
Yeah, well, that's what I like about my library video show, the In Library Graphic Literature. I go on, and the people who comment, I respond to every single comment. Because I thought of it as, okay, if I want to build a community and a show, then I gotta basically be able to make my listeners not only enjoy it, but be loyal to it. And how do you be loyal? By listening to them. Because, I mean, I've learned just as much sometimes from listening to people, from suggestions they've made, stuff like that. And, I mean, yourself with the Mother Box.
Yeah.
In my thing, that was one suggestion. It was just like, oh, perfect. Heads in perfect.
Yeah.
So you listen to it, and you're right too. It's that community thing. That's what I like about it.
It's a positive community for the most part.
Yeah.
Now we might be the exception here in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Well, one negative I'm going to say is the rise again of a speculator market.
Yes. And the Vern cover hand in hand.
Right.
Of course.
So we don't get our comics on Wednesdays. We get them on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Hence Thursday comics. Sometimes even Fridays.
Yeah.
And
the worst of times,
following Monday. And the comic industry is famous for it too. If they're as opposed to reading a book and getting like, oh my God, this is a big shocker.
Yeah.
This is huge. Marvel will come out on social media and be like, keep an eye on Captain America 25 coming out next month. Something big is going to happen.
Yeah.
Then everyone goes out and scatters and buys them all up.
Yeah.
Locally, what you get is people hear about it, the book is out, you're getting reviews, and then they come out and they hoard them.
Yeah. Or they come looking for a specific comic too that normally only 2 people out of 100 collect, and they expect to get one when, especially if a store doesn't pick up on it and they only order so many.
Yep.
Then there's nothing, it's. Now, some stores I've heard will take those and up the price on them, put them on there. But
on a brand new comic.
Yeah.
So
now, like our good buddy Jason Conway, Downtown Comics, he will never do that. His policy was, if you're collecting Batman Beyond, and you collect it all the time, and the next thing, the latest issue, which happened recently, became exploded. It was just like he wasn't going to screw over the 2 or 3 people who get it every month. They deserve it. They're fans like that. They're the people who are in the fucking the trenches fighting it out for your comic
to keep that comic published.
Exactly. So they deserve it, right?
And I always said, especially if a new issue 1 comes out. I remember X-Men Gold was relaunching. They kind of did the rebranding with X-Men Gold and Blue. And there was some controversy with the artist in the first issue.
Yes.
And they had to redo it. But people were coming in, and the issue sold out right away. But it wasn't sold to people reading it.
Yeah. And that's
they're doing a big rebranding of X-Men, and say someone who wants to read X-Men, oh, this is going to be a good jumping on point. They now can find the issue, and you lost that reader.
Exactly.
Forever.
Now you can pick them up with the soft covers or the hard covers, but still, it's a bit of a kick in the face because you want they want to be there from the start, right?
Now with the hard covers and the soft covers, Marvel and DC's constant rebranding.
Yeah,
we'll talk about another negative.
Yeah,
the New 52 was a detriment for a lot of people.
Yeah,
some good stories did come out of it.
Yeah, oh yes.
But I dropped a lot of my comics because it made what I was previously collecting redundant and not canon anymore.
As Jason calls them, orphan series. Yeah. And then, ironically enough, the New 52 itself became orphaned with Rebirth.
Yeah.
And so it's just like where do you get on board? Where do you jump out? Where do you jump ship? It's useless. It's just like, come on guys, just stick to the goddamn comics you're putting them out. And here's a suggestion: how about writing a comic that's fucking good, like Immortal Hulk or Hickman's X-Men series. Yeah. This is what people want. People don't want those goddamn fancy variant covers and shit like that. Yeah. Sure, there's some out there who do, but they're the customers who get their comics put in the boxes last, right? Because you want to get if you were a store owner and you were handing them out, you want it to someone who will read it, right?
They need to understand that constant rebranding with number 1s.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a good jumping on point for new readers.
Yeah.
But it's a perfect jumping off point.
Exactly.
For your current fan base.
Yeah. For your big fan base.
And
right?
there'll be more people that will drop a title than will pick it up.
Yeah.
And that's the issue.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, to talk about paperbacks, one of the big imprints that was big in the paperback and started it closed this decade, which was Vertigo.
Yes. Okay, that's perfect ending thing. I think we've actually gone through most of the topics we talked about, but that's a big one because they spent so much time, invested so much time and energy, and the fans themselves into a brand that they just turned around and fucking kicked to the curb like that.
Yeah,
and it's like, come on. But meanwhile, when they put out the Sandman and all that, they're still attaching that goddamn Vertigo label to them.
They do, yeah. But you had Sandman, and you had Hellblazer, and DMZ, and Fables, and
it was
your stepping stone.
Yeah.
You went from superhero comics.
Yeah.
And then you went into Vertigo, which wasn't quite adult.
Yeah.
But it had a little bit harder language, or let's say Preacher.
Yeah.
And that was your stepping stone. You matured into that.
Yeah.
And then you could go into Harder Edge, Dark Horse, or Image wasn't really around at the time. Or
independent graphics and
independent or Euro comics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stuff like heavy metal.
Yeah.
And there was a progression.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They cut out that slightly mature line.
Yeah.
And that was my key development in reading comics. I went from Spider-Man and superhero titles, and I started on Preacher.
Yeah, because there's only so far superheroes can bring you, right?
It is. And you can do so much adult-themed stories, but Spider-Man is only going to go so far.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is not going to deal with certain topics.
Yeah.
Vertigo allowed you to grow up in comics.
Yeah.
And your taste changed. We talked about this before. And you get into different things, and you want to expand your horizons.
Yeah, exactly.
And Vertigo was that initial stepping stone.
It was perfect for that, right? I loved it. And yeah, it's definitely it's the big miss.
Yeah.
I think for the past 10 years, one of the most tragic things I think, right?
So, and that was more recent than anything. So that was a recent thing. Yeah.
So DC, if you're listening, get your shit together and stop all those damn canceling. Oh yeah, and the soliciting and canceling series. which is a new thing, but it's pissing everyone off.
Yeah.
And it's pissing them off more and more. We'll talk about that in the upcoming show too,
Yep.
right?
So we'll probably end this one on that note. On
Yep.
a negative, like
On
everything else.
negative. God damn them.
We're hoping to do another video next week.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for episode issue 4.
Yeah.
Which hopefully now after the new year. So to our listeners, thank you for following us.
Yes.
Have a happy new year, happy 2020. And follow us on our sister site at the Library of Graphic Literature.
Yeah, and subscribe to us.
Subscribe to us on Buzzsprout. Follow
yeah.
us on YouTube.
And,
follow Library on YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. And, and love us.
And love us, because we love you. All right, say
okay,
bye,
on that there, let's cue the music and let's let it take us gently out. Done. Okay. That was a good one. I like that. Okay. Okay. So now...
We kept about 25 minutes, did we?
Yep. It was almost exactly 25. Whew. Okay. Now let me just turn off this for a second just to end this file.